standing over my 1-year-old son as he turns blue. I'm singing with every last bit of gusto I can find within me. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And I'm clapping my hands. I don't know all of the words, so I'm also humming bits, and then inserting, then your face will surely show it. Buddy, take a breath, I say, in between singing, and I stomp my feet. After what feels like an eternity, he finally breathes. His eyes roll back into his head. He goes limp, and his face turns white as a sheet. He looks dead, but I know he is not. So I stroke his hair, tell him I love him, and when he revives, he starts crying, his face red with fear and anger. Like this, we sit on the bed, me holding him so tightly against my chest that I can no longer tell where he ends and I begin. And it's almost, for a second, like he's inside me again. When I was pregnant with my boy, I thought I wanted a girl. Not for any good reason, if there ever is a good reason for these kinds of preferences. I just tried to imagine how to raise a boy, and I couldn't picture a map. I thought I'd know what to do with a girl. Do everything my parents got wrong. It was that easy. The day I began to doubt that the odds were in my favor, I was at my cousin Dagan's wedding in Vermont, and we were serenading the newly married couple with David Mallett's garden song. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Anyway, we got to the verse that goes, pulling weeds and picking stones. Man is made of dreams and bones. And I started weeping. Something about the idea that all a man could be made of was dreams and bones went right through me. And then I saw him. A long-legged blonde boy, ironic and tender, gangly yet sturdy. I turned to my husband, Dan, who was blithely singing along as I had an earth-shattering clouds parting moment, and I grabbed his hand and roared, "We're having a boy, Dan, I know it." As soon as I knew, I became a ferocious protector of his tiny male life inside of me. And from that evening on, I sang that garden song to him every single day until he came out of me. When I first held my baby boy in his arms, I knew I could do this. Motherhood, I realized, with all its dangerous forays into love and fear, all that pushing of an actual human being out of my vagina, all its hard and cozy edges, was for me. I had not known it until that moment. Other parts of my life were falling apart. My husband was out of work due to the recession, we only had a finite amount of money in savings, and our lives were teetering toward economic collapse. But motherhood, all I had to do was take one look at my brand new son, a tousle of blonde curls on his head, a cool as a cucumber expression on his face that said, "What's up, guys?" and 2 perfect blueberries for eyes, and I thought, okay, the peripheral world might be fraying, but this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I felt I was born to be this kid's mother, and I was sure I would be good at this. A year later, my son started playing. Well, playing isn't the right word, I guess. Approximating would be a better word, so let's say he started approximating death. The first night it happened, he was teething and having trouble going to sleep. I had decided to mitigate the damages and let him fall asleep next to me. But first, I handed him to Dan and I turned my back to go put on my own PJs in the bathroom. This simple, innocent abandonment terrified him. He started crying, nay, not just crying. His mouth hung open in a square, Edvard Munch kind of gape. When he started turning blue and then limp, I screamed and ran to call 911. By the time I had someone on the line, he was breathing again. Was this my fault, I wondered? What is it about me that could make my son think I'm going to abandon him? Who cares in the scheme of things if I wear PJs or my underwear? I went to bed feeling that I was a terrible, insensitive, selfish mother, and I vowed I would not walk away from him again. But the next night it happened again. This time I had gamely suggested that we switch nipples in our pre-bedtime nursing session because the one was getting as raw as ground chuck. Again, total, unadulterated outrage. Soon I was holding what felt like a dead child. After the requisite calls to our doctor, we found ourselves in the ER, letting our baby play with Daddy's iPhone, while technicians rested him still for an EKG. It was there that we learned that our little man did not have some congenital heart defect, that he was not almost dying, but that he had something called breath-holding syndrome. This, folks, can be found in the tantrum section of your Dr. Sears baby book. The ER team told us that when an episode starts coming on, we should stay cool, sing songs, and speak calmly. No running to the phone like we think we're Magic Johnson going in for a layup. The idea is to keep him safe by lying him down on a soft bed or rug, and also not to make a big deal. A big deal creates a big deal, we were told. This advice was why, a few nights later, I was gamely singing If You're Happy and You Know It, while my son turned blue and my husband cooked egg rolls in the kitchen to celebrate New Year's. Like any new situation with one's child, this problem was not as easy as just tantrums. There was a low iron count, which is often the case with breath holders. They just don't have enough red blood cells to weather an eternally long period without oxygen. This was fixed by an iron supplement. Next, we took a holistic journey into his birth story and wondered whether he had had to hold his breath during birth. This didn't do anything practical, and it just made me feel more guilty somehow. There was an elimination diet because undetected allergies can sometimes affect behavior. I did this along with him because he's a breastfeeder. Together, we eliminated wheat, dairy, corn, soy, nightshades, fish, nuts, basically anything that tastes good. This helped. But finally, my husband and I were confronted with a purely practical concern of how are we going to actually parent this child if we're terrified he might hold his breath? I can tell you in one word: carefully. Discipline of any kind was fraught. We asked each other, how do we say that this here is the dog's toy and not to be put in the mouth, so therefore we're going to take it away? How do we say, no, you may not have that puppet of an oversized rat? We were cautious, terrified. I felt like I was walking the line every night at bedtime. Dan and I had never been fans of the cry it out approach, but now it was decided crying anything out would never be for this kid. So we sang and rocked and talked and read books, and I nursed, and then we both sang some more. Eventually we realized that we could see the warning signs: hunger or tiredness, overstimulation that was getting dangerously close to a meltdown, teething plus a bedtime that's dragging on too long. And we learned how to quickly and lovingly redirect. Hey, honey, need a cracker or a piece of cheese? Or, hey, pumpkin, what sound does a doggy make? And then I'd bark. Or, what sound does a ducky make? Quack, quack, quack. And so on until he was calm again. Sometimes, even in public, my husband and I spontaneously break into song. Picture West Side Story and Whole Foods. On the communication front, we've gotten very specific. And I'll be right back, honey, turns into Peanut, Mommy is going to go to the bathroom to go pee-pee. Do you want to stay here or come with Mommy? And for some reason, we also make a lot of ice water. There's no end to the fascination with ice trays and the faucet. Now, some mothers might complain, how terrifying, read annoying, to have a son who turns blue. What a difficult child. Elimination diets, endless bedtime sessions, talking every freaking thing through, singing Red River Valley at the playground. Don't you just want to put him on a plane back to Russia like that woman from Tennessee? But you don't know my son. I have a ball every second I'm with him. Even when I'm eating brown rice and turkey for the 11th straight day in a row. Even after I've sung the garden song 25 times in the past hour, and barked and quacked and mooed until I'm hoarse. Even after he's turned blue and is lying limp against my chest, and I feel 90 but look closer to 300, because for a second there, even though that the doctors have told me he'll be fine, I still think, my God, he's dead. Then, after he starts breathing, I have to recover and learn to breathe again myself. Because in the end, our children really are made of dreams and bones, ours and theirs. And the truth of this makes me know, every second, that this, right now, is just a glimmer in the all too short amount of time we will have together on this messy, messy earth.